Let's talk about a swearing ban. This is Thanet District Council is discussing £100 fines for antisocial behaviour and language that causes distress, alarm or harassment. Let's talk to Andrew Allison about this. Andrew is, of course, the head of campaigns for Popular Conservatism. Andrew, I've been guilty of saying the odd word, not on air, hopefully, but certainly in our newsroom. It is. I was referring to a senior politician earlier, and I used a very bad word when I was referring to him. Newsrooms are full of people who use bad language, and that's fine, I suppose, because there aren't children around. But are you going to start fining people £100 if they live in Thanet? What do you make of this plan?
Well, I'm instinctively opposed to any form of punishment like this where fixed penalty notices are handed out. It's up to the person who is handing out the notice as well, so I imagine there will be some discrepancies there. But I do have, as a parent myself of a young child, I do have sympathy with those parents and grandparents who just don't want to have their children.
I do too, and I think people should be careful around children. And similarly, if I had a colleague who said to me, actually, you know, can you tone things down a little bit? I remember I went from working in newsrooms to working in the civil service, and I was told by a senior manager at one stage, actually, you do need to remember this is the civil service and not a newsroom, and that's fine, and those are different kind of areas. And I mean, I was around a 6-year-old in Amsterdam. My friend is a 6-year-old. I was looking after him for a short time, and we were really careful kind of how we said things, what we said, how we explained things. That's perfectly fine, but should you actually be fined £100?
No, I don't think that you should. But I think what really annoys me more than anything else is people who talk extremely loudly. And I'm sure you, like me, have been on a train before where someone's having probably the most banal conversation imaginable at the opposite end of the carriage, and you can just hear every word. Now, of course, if someone is using particularly bad language, but they're being rather quiet with it, it's a private conversation, they're not bringing other people into it, then no one's got a problem with that. I think the problem is when people are shouting on the top of their voice, the language is particularly bad. But they don't have to be using bad language. It's just very antisocial, isn't it?
I totally
just
get
to
that.
Take over a room.
I totally get that. And it's similar when people are playing music on public transport and out of their phones and things, which is a totally antisocial thing to do. The question is, I suppose, whether there should be fines for that. The Liberal Democrats, before the council election, said there should be fines of up to £1,000 for playing music out of your phone. I suppose the point is whether you think that's reasonable or whether people should just get the message and say, do you know what, this is not socially acceptable. And what I think should be socially acceptable, and people should back people up, is when they go over and say politely, as I have on a couple of occasions, could you possibly put earphones in? You know, it's a bit antisocial just to have that music blaring out. Would that be okay? I think that's a reasonable thing to say, rather than necessarily being fined for it.
Yes, no, I completely agree with you. And the vast majority of people may perhaps not even realise that their music is too loud, or they may not realise that they're talking particularly loud, and they will apologise. You will always get some people who will just ignore it, but of course they probably will ignore the fixed penalty notice as well. So I just don't think that that's going to work at all.
Tell us about Avon Fire and Rescue Service. There's an employment tribunal, and part of what is happening, it is focused on the use of the word fireman. This is a fireman who quit after being disciplined for failing to stop his staff saying firemen and firemen. Simon Bailey's 58 had been commended for bravery, but was given a final written warning and downgraded following the use of the sexist term. I mean, a man who fights fires is a fireman. It's not
well,
sexist.
It was when I was growing up.
It's not sexist to say that, is it? Why do you have to say firefighter? Also, people who catch fish are fishers. They're not fishermen and fisherwomen. They're fishers, apparently.
Yes, they use that. I discovered that term, actually, fishers, when I worked in the European Parliament back in 2019. I'd never heard of it before, but all of a sudden they were talking about fishers rather than fishermen. And we were talking about children's television. Of course, there's Fireman Sam as well, isn't there, Peter?
Well, is Fireman Sam sexist? That's what I want to know.
Well, I suppose what they're trying to say
he's hard to pin down. He's hard to pin down as old Fireman Sam because he's always on the move.
But this is very serious, even though we're joking, because someone has effectively lost their job or felt that they couldn't work in the fire service anymore because of this most stupid ruling. I think his lawyer said, how can you discipline someone for using a term that's been in existence for about 150 years? And I rather agree with his lawyer. But this is not the first time Avon and Somerset Fire Service have been on my radar. I remember their diversity reports as well from the past, so they seem to have form on this.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is in regard to a female firefighter, let's call her a firewoman, and former England rugby player Sasha Aitchison making a claim against the same station for sexual harassment, discrimination and victimisation. I don't want anybody fighting fires, male, female, feeling that they're sexually harassed, that there's discrimination and victimisation. But, I mean, fireman is a word and fireman is a word. It's a reasonable thing to use. It's been around for many, many hundred, well, at least 150 years. Barrister Emma Sewell, representing Avon Fire and Rescue Service, argued watch manager Mr Bailey, their boss, did not respond to a serious grievance in regard to using firemen. The tribunal is going to decide on Mr Bailey's claim at a later date, but he has said that he has a letter of commendation from the chief congratulating me on his 20 years of service, 27 years of service, but he's left in a drawer now. I mean, what a horrible end to a really incredibly important service to fighting fires.
Yes, it is a most appalling end for a man who's obviously done his job extremely well and extremely professionally over the years. But what sort of a person actually gets upset and wants to start a grievance process because someone has said fireman?
Yeah.
Like, it probably says more about the person who started the grievance process than anything else.
Well, listen, we'll see how that all develops. Andrew, thank you for your thoughts today. That's Andrew Allison, who is Head of Campaigns at Popular Conservatism.
Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed that, please give it a like and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. More details about us can be found on our website, popularconservatism.com, and you can also follow us on social media. Details about that can be found in the notes below.